Hello! Magandang umaga, hapon, gabi, whatever time it is for you. Today I'll be here to enlighten you on some of the legacies of Jose Rizal in our present time, in no particular order. This national hero of ours has been so impactful in his work that its effects echo on until today's society, even more than 120 years after his death. Let's get started. Number 1. Filipinos seeking out nationalism in every corner we can find. Filipinos are often very community-oriented and thrive alongside other Filipinos, but this can be seen as a product of generations of being brought down by colonizers and being forced to submit to their will. As a nation, we've fallen victim to our colonizers, but thanks to the thirst for freedom Rizal instilled upon us to open our eyes, we've grown to love our country and love our inherent Filipino identity. Our newfound freedom inspired us to band together and love ourselves as we are, to sometimes an extreme extent. I named my cool island the Philippines so no one can tell me that my villagers aren't Filipino. Now I'm surrounded by Pinoy pride wherever I go. Is this a good thing? Number 2. Showed us the importance of art. Rizal was a renowned artist both during his time and even until today. He used his art, skills, and talents in writing in order to get his message across in a much more powerful manner. He evidenced his claims properly, created powerful metaphors, and shook Filipinos and Spaniards to their core, so much so that he was hunted down for it. Rizal shows us that art is powerful, and art can send a powerful message if utilized properly. To this day, people are using their art to empower themselves and make the Filipino people more aware of today's current issues. Here I've drawn to the best of my abilities an angry stickman. How does this art evoke a powerful message, you ask? Because the stickman is angry at the government. Number 3. Emphasize the importance of education for all. It was well known that Rizal was an educated man, and through this he learned the what could be's for the betterment of the Philippines. He knew the importance of education, as it makes people more aware of the faults of the system within society, and how to improve everything within our day-to-day life. In his essay to the young women of Malolos, he encouraged these women to pursue their education despite the disapproval of society at the time. He truly was an advocate for education for all, no matter what their background, because he knew that it would only lead to enlightenment and an improved society. Today, anyone and everyone can have access to education. Granted, the system isn't perfect, but little by little, we're trying to strive towards a better educational system. Number 4. Advocate for change and equality. As a victim of targeted harassment and discrimination simply for things out of his control, Rizal knew firsthand the effects of an unjust and biased system that favored the oppressors. Because of this, Rizal knew at an early age that this was unfair, and he wanted to correct it by proving himself capable of doing so much more despite his background, just to prove them wrong. As he learned more about the system of society and how the Spaniards were taking advantage of the Filipinos by manipulating them, Rizal sought to bring this to light and inspire an uproar and a demand for change in society. Eventually, it worked, but sadly, Rizal did not live to see the day of his country's newfound freedom. However, his words and his passion continue to inspire an entire nation until today. For example, I am passionately inspired to talk about him right now. Which brings us to number 5. His legacy is certainly proven to be great because we're learning about him in almost every grade and level. So it can be said that he taught us to learn from our history. Rizal strongly believed that one should value their history and learn from it. He knew that the wisdom of the past could help aid the creation of the future. Throughout his essays and novels, he emphasizes on change and fighting against oppression for a better tomorrow. He wanted the future generations to learn from his words. As he so famously said, "Ang kabataan ang pag-asa ng bayan," or, "The youth is the hope of our future." We know that history never repeats itself, but it rhymes, and as times seem tough now, we know best to learn from our country's history with oppression, and learn that it has never stopped us. We will keep fighting, and we will succeed. Like the revolutionaries generations before us. We need to keep striving for change and the betterment of society, for the people's needs and for the sake of our nation's well-being. Something like that. I don't know, man. I'm just a rando playing Animal Crossing to cope.